What's up?
Ken, see, I told you it was easy.
I know you got so much hair on your face.
Normally I have like a beard just because I hate shaving. I don't think I've actually used a razor in over 5 years, but um, but now the quarantine has happened, and so now it's just growing, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they quarantine. They don't want you to shave. You know that, right?
Oh, they don't? I don't know.
No, because they want to get that virus in your beard there and get rid of it all. So you look good though.
Good, thanks, man. So do you. You look
Yeah.
the same. It's been what, 3 years since we hung out?
Yep, up at Forest Home last time we are up there, huh?
That was awesome. That was
I'm a
fun.
little bit further now, a little bit further east.
Yeah, no, I can't go and like in 4 hours drive up and visit you anymore.
No.
That's too far away.
You can fly out though, but no one comes out to visit us very much except our family. So, but you can be the.
Well, I was gonna say at some point I'm taking Haley back east for her East Coast trip, but Georgia's like still a long distance away from like Virginia and all those places that we're going there.
Yeah, just a few hours. But you're
Like
always welcome. You're always welcome.
like 8 hours, right? Like how long would it take you to drive up to DC? Eight to
Yeah,
ten
about
hours?
8 hours. We went up
Yeah.
there about 8 hours. So, but if you want to count the Chattanooga, we're right next to Chattanooga. So that. Do I sound like I'm getting an accent yet?
When you say Chattanooga, it does.
Got kind of Chattanooga. For all my Dalton friends, probably one person that's watching. This is Jason Fredrigo. He's a friend of mine. Not only a friend, I remember when he was a junior hire back in the day. He was in.
Yeah, we'll get to those stories.
All right, I got.
I'm sure you have a much different recollect than I
I
do.
think that's Rachel Harrison watching right there too. How are you, Rachel? Do you know her? She's one of my friends.
Oh, then probably not. No.
Yeah. There's Eric Bennett.
Yeah, do you know Eric Bennett?
Do I know? Was he the Fallbrook part of the Fallbrook group there, posse? No.
No,
Oh, wrong.
Mr. Eric Bennett from Desert Flippers HGTV. So if you've ever watched Desert Flippers on HGTV,
I love that.
He's my buddy. Occasionally we go play Pokemon Go together. Because of him, I have a Pokemon account, which is
Sweet.
super lame, but I have it just because of him.
Have you played it lately?
No, I haven't played it since the last time I went out with Eric, but
All right.
whatever. I do I do it with his kids are about the same age as my son Caleb. But hey, since people are jumping on, quarantine happened, like the apocalypse happened, the world came to a standstill, and ministry is totally different right now. So, Ken, first off, because my people don't know don't know you, your role. What do you do? Where do you work? Tell us about your job.
All right. So I'm the family pastor working with families out here in Dalton, Georgia. You probably never heard of Dalton, Georgia, but it is actually probably where most of your flooring comes from. So it is the flooring capital of the world, carpet, tile, laminate, all that stuff. Little known fact.
Okay.
Never heard of Dalton until we came out here a couple of years ago. But I work in a great church, Dalton United Methodist Church. Loves the Lord, loves Jesus, and we're strategically building families, growing them in Christ together. So that's what I'm doing. I'm originally from Fallbrook, though. Fallbrook High, graduate '86. Whew. All right, Warriors. So
yeah, I saw your photo where you look like Johnny from The Karate Kid.
That's what people say. So I guess poor guy now. I wonder if he looks like me. But anyway, so yeah. So we're out here in Georgia. We're Southern California and living the Southern life here in Georgia, and so far so good.
What's that like working at a church in the Bible Belt?
Bible Belt is cool. There's a kind of a respect for Christianity still and everything, but at the same time, it can be very hard because a lot of us, we talk about this in our churches and even families. We don't want it to become a cultural Christianity where we just go through the motions of being a Christian. So the difference is, out in California where we're from, is like there's a lot of other options besides Christianity to get involved in. But here, Christianity is still the mainstream and things like that. So just always, and we got to guard our hearts that we don't fall into routine or, just the ceremonial part of Christianity, which that is actually, for me, I feel very called to just challenge people in that area, because I don't want people to think they can be a Christian just by going through the doors of the church. I want them to have that relationship with Jesus Christ.
No, and watching your devotions that you've been putting up every day, dude, you're like bringing it. Like, those aren't just like, okay, so I've been doing daily devotions, and they're more of that youth pastor, they're just, there's some challenge there, but bro, you're bringing it. Like, these are like little mini, like, Ken's getting his preach on. Like, you're not getting the pulpit enough on Sundays, so you're making up for it on video.
We're just going to splice everything together, and it'll be one sermon per week. No, the thing is, I hate live stuff. I mean, this is a big stretch for me. This is the first time I've ever talked to someone. It's amazing to me and scary that you're on 3,000 miles away on the other side of the world, the other side of the United States, and I'm out here and we're talking. And I like to have things rehearsed. I like to have things planned out. So, really, the Lord just put it on my heart to share his scripture and even things like this. There is so much of his word going out there now on the interwebs and things. That's what we say here in Georgia, the interwebs. So,
but yeah, I get that from, Richard Rollins on Fast and Loud. He calls it the old interweb.
The interwebs. But just think about how God is redeeming social media and things like that. Like, there on Sunday morning, when you look out on any given Sunday morning now, and even during the week, you see like just church after church, Christian after Christian sharing God's word. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I've noticed, and obviously
Paul Gustanian is on there. Paul, how are you? Do you know Paul?
I don't know Paul.
High Desert Church, amazing man. We did youth ministry years ago. How do I do a wave? Can I do a wave or anything on this?
No? Here, I'll wave for you.
All right. What's up, Paul? Glad you joined us. Haven't seen you forever. So, anyways, sorry.
You have what saying? Oh, social media stuff.
Yeah.
That, it's been interesting because in the like top 10 things that are trending, on a consistent basis, like 25% of the stuff that's trending is, I'm going to say, at least spiritually based. That's Greta. What's up, Greta?
What's up, Greta? Back to the old youth group days back there. She has an amazing ministry right there, too. I've been following her and reading her stuff.
Right? Oh, that's Haley Bug. That's my daughter.
Hey, Haley. Your dad is so cool. Let me just tell you that, in case you've never known that. So I could tell you a story when he was, how old are you, Haley? How old is she?
Haley's 14. So
14. Oh.
Yeah.
You seen your dad when he was 14?
By 14, I was a little bit better.
You're a good kid.
11 and 12, that was rough. But what was my question?
Well, back to the social media stuff.
Oh, no, but yeah, it's trending. It's great. I saw last week, Greg Laurie had an article published by Newsweek magazine where he was basically saying that we are possibly in one of the greatest spiritual revolutions that the world has ever seen. That God is being, not only is God being talked about, but God's being sought after. And so that's where people like you and me in ministry really need to be at that forefront of the charge, and then inviting everybody in to understand that every believer has been called to ministry.
Amen. Yeah. That's the thing. This is like we shared a few minutes ago on the phone, just like there has never been a time like this, and we'll probably, during our lifetime, there'll probably never be another time like this. This is a history-making time in life right now. And I guess I was explaining to my son that right now, God is not just knowing what's going on, but the whole world's kind of seeing how we're all handling this whole thing. The great hope I have is that God does know how to get us through this, and that's what I want to share with people. So, why, as a Christian, why would I not want to make the most of any avenue that I can to get his word out, like you?
Right. Yeah, it's been fun. So I'll share with you, and then I'll let you respond. So my biggest struggle obviously during this time has been the lack of physical connection.
Yeah.
You know, Zoom and social media, email, texting, all of that stuff. That's my brother.
Hey, man,
Um,
that's your bro.
and so it's Daisy. She's in my youth group.
Good youth pastor right there.
It's one of those things where, like, I, as an introvert, I'm enjoying the quiet time, but as somebody who's ADD and also relationally driven, I miss being in direct relationship with people. And so it's been difficult, but I think the biggest benefit that has come out of this with me or for me has just simply been the time to process God's word. My daily devotions are like the best they've probably ever been in my life.
Yeah.
And and then after my devotion time, there's just this time to like marinate on things. And so, and I've been able to outwardly process that in, you know, creative ways as far as through my video devotions. I've been,
Zach Cannon, shout out. He's in Virginia right now. Ojai First Baptist, old youth pastor there. Zach, good to see you.
oh, nice. And then I've started blogging and writing some stuff. And so I actually have a list in my notebook of stuff that I want to write on that I haven't even gotten to yet. And so that's been like my favorite part of all of it. And then plus the family time, it's been great. Just using the dinner table, like it's kind of a novel idea, but we've been able to do that. So that's kind of cool. But what about you? What's been your number one struggle and what's been the biggest benefit?
It's a lot like you. I mean, seriously, I am very much an extrovert. I love to be around people too. I mean, I feel like this is good connection and it's helpful, but I really do miss like giving a high five or a hug or something like that. I mean, for these last however many weeks has it been, 8 weeks, five, I don't know how many weeks it's been. It seems like it seems like everything's blended together. That the biggest part of me, I just want to go and see someone face to face. Now, on the flip side of that, I love, like you said, the time that I have with God. Like these little devotions that we do in the morning and put out on the Facebook and social media and things like that. It's good because God is growing me too. Like some mornings, I don't even know, should I do this again? And then God puts a word in our heart and then you run with it. I mean, seriously, a 5-minute little message can go a long ways because you never know who's watching. So that keeps me going too. That helps me with the struggle of, I guess, not having a lot of interaction with people and stuff like that. The family time, I mean, it's a little more laid back here in Dalton, Georgia. We're mainly a factory town, carpet and flooring mills and things. About 50,000 people in the North Georgia mountains. Very much a slower paced life than what we're used to being out in California.
Yeah.
But when you walk in the neighborhoods now, this is so amazing. And even though there's this social distancing still going on, you see families playing again. Like for a family pastor, someone who understands, like God designed family. This is what I think he's drawing us to. I really believe this with all my heart, that sometimes we don't even know what we need, but God knows what we need. And so he just takes times like this, still loving us, still in control of the situation. And he says, I just need to regroup you and get back to your families. And I think a great revival can come. So very much similar to yours. You know, I can't wait to get back to things as normal. I miss, like I'm preaching this Sunday in our modern service and I'm preaching in my backyard to the birds, you know, and I'm recording it and we'll splice it together. And the neighbors think I'm crazy because they're probably listening. But I miss the people, but I really love the time to draw near to God too.
Yeah, it's been nice. Yeah, with like the whole family aspect of it too. It's kind of weird because
Elrod, woo! You know that? I can't see very well because of my glasses, but
yeah, I don't know.
it's either your friend or my friend, so I can't.
One of ours, yeah.
Sarah Kate. I think Sarah Kate, if that's you, give a big shout out there. You're gonna tell it's my friends because they all have two names, like Sarah Kate, John, Bill, things like that. Okay, so I think that's her though, but I could be mistaken.
It could be my wife's family. They have an Elrod last name, but I don't know them very well. Lily, that's from my youth group.
All right.
So, but oh, we were just talking about like walking around, seeing people and stuff like that. Isn't it weird? Like I've seen neighbors that I've never ever even seen before. Like we've maybe crossed like our cars, but now it's like everybody's out walking the dog together, you know, and everybody's walking around. Like I found out that Jeremy Camp lives in my neighborhood.
What? No way.
I didn't even know he lived by me. But
I just watched this show the other day. What's the one?
Wasn't it so good?
Yeah, it touched I cried a little bit.
If anybody out there knows Jeremy, tell him that I sent him a direct message asking if he would have one of these interviews with me. So, but he hasn't gotten back to me. But anyways, at least like once a week or so, we cross each other while we're out walking. Like we've been walking, and him and the family ride the bikes by, and you know, it's just like weird because again, like never even have talked to neighbors before, and now I'm actually like meeting neighbors for the first time.
Yeah. And you're living kind of you're in Palm Springs area out there?
Yeah, I'm in Palm Desert. I'm in a slower part. Like it's, I don't know. It's one of the older but nicer parts of Palm Desert, and so it's a little laid back. We're a couple miles up from town, so there's not as much traffic and things like that. But no, everything is slower though. We went on Saturday up to Orange County for a drive-by birthday party, and when we drove home, we drove home from Orange County and never hit any traffic. I mean, we drove through Orange, through the 91 in Riverside.
Yeah.
You know, the 2 lanes going through Moreno Valley before you hit the pass to jump back onto the 10. There wasn't a single, like I was in cruise control at 76. I'm going to say 76 because people are watching and that doesn't feel as bad.
Don't want to
but no, I was actually going 78 cruise control. But we never slowed down the entire way home. And I'm like, when has this ever happened?
Yeah.
It's actually a great time for my daughter, who has her permit, to learn how to drive.
That's the same with my son. He gets his birthday's next month, and so he has his permit. So we're saying drive now because there's less people on the road. So
yeah. The bummer is she wasn't able to get her last behind the wheel training session in before all the companies shut down. Yeah. So
bye, Christina.
Yeah, Christina goes to my church.
Oh, Christina.
She's awesome.
All
right. Her girls are in my youth group.
I've seen pictures like of the I-5, like all the lanes just empty across there. When we lived in Ojai and going down to San Diego, if we went at the wrong time, it would take us like 6 hours to go from Ventura down to San Diego to see and it really, I mean, it should only take like an hour and a half or something, 2 hours. And to see that, it's just so amazing. But did you see this Earth Day yesterday? I'm not a big Earth Day guy, but I love the Earth. Okay, but
I heard it was also Jelly Bean Day, though. So.
Yes, I did. I got.
Oh yeah, you're the one. I saw that because of you.
Yes. Little known fact that George's favorite flavor of Jelly Belly is buttered popcorn, which is the same as mine, so it's really good. All right, so. But I mean, sometimes too, you just think like the Earth is getting really cleaned up too. This is not like environmental kin or something like that. This is just like, it's kind of cool how God's creation kind of just is recovering from this too. So you look at all these different parts that we think is kind of chaotic or hard or things like that, but I really just think it's God in so many different ways, pulling things back up. And I really do. I think there could be a great revival after this when these church doors open up again, and all the people, you know, I don't know, sometimes in churches like, well, it's too cold to go to church or it's too hot to go to church. And well, now they've been able to be away from church. So maybe they got a little bit of what they wanted, but we should all be flocking back to church. I miss the fellowship. I've said it before.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing that I miss. It's you can only raise your hands and worship so much with your family in the living room. You know, it's just not the same. There is something about that whole where 2 or 3 gather in my name that, it's when the Spirit's flowing, and that's what we miss. And by the way, I see my brother said gross. That
is that for the jelly bellies?
Yeah, that's about your Jelly Belly comment. And
doesn't like butter popcorn. Okay, Jordan, what's your favorite flavor? We'll wait for your response now. So
This is that awkward moment for everybody in the audience, all 6 of them.
I know. It's great we have 6 people.
That's
Shout out to
okay.
the 6 people because there's been less than that when it's just me sometimes. So like I said, they're probably your friends.
Yesterday, Jordan and I had a conversation, and we had a few people tune in and stuff like that, and we realized by the end of our conversation there were only 2 people watching, and it was, hey,
Oh,
look,
there's my
your
wife.
wife. Your wife is watching.
I was just gonna say it's funny that my wife's not even watching, but here we are. Hi, Joy Elben, my beautiful, lovely wife.
Yeah, by the end of our conversation, it was our mom and his fiance's mom. We're the only 2 people on. So I was like, well, there you go. I guess we're just having a candid conversation for our mothers to be watching.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? I'll ask a question.
Okay.
What do you, for you, what is, I know we talked about our challenges and our kind of things that maybe have drawn us closer to God, but what has been something creative that you've kind of been learning through this time, like a creative way to get God's word out? I mean, I think this is the most creative time for some of us. Oh, Joy says she's been watching the whole time. We're awesome. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, he likes the cinnamon.
The spicy one. Okay, spicy.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess is the right answer. It's so I do family and youth ministry here at the church, emphasis more on the youth ministry. And, I think I do a good job of getting God's word out, and being creative with it, making things available through accessing Bible app reading plans, through Zoom gatherings, through the video devos, through posting articles and writing articles, and
hey, there's my sister.
Is that your sister?
I think Amy Grace.
I haven't seen your sister in 25 years. So,
well, if you look real close, there she is.
Oh yeah, I see her. She's
is that you, Amy? Do a thumbs up. Jason's right in the middle of talking about creative stuff.
But it's the difficult part for me has been how to creatively put something together that students want to be a part of. I think the hard part with student ministry is they have a tendency to, they want to gather, but the Zoom things and the virtual connections kind of lose their flavor. So we've been trying different things. We did one night. It was actually pretty fun. We have another one coming up next week, but we did a virtual paint night. Okay. So one of our college students, one of my old high school students, amazing artist. So she did a Bob Goff style paint, or not Bob Goff.
He's a good writer, but I know
he's a great writer. What's his name? Why did I just blank now?
I know the guy with the big hair.
Yeah, the guy with the hair.
Someone posted on there in the comments, Bob something, but it's Bob.
You know what? Bob Goff actually posted a fake clip of that today on his Instagram, so that messed me up. But anyways,
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross. Thank you, Joy.
Thanks, Joy and Zach.
So Bob Ross style paint night, and it was fun. So we put it up on Zoom, and she was demonstrating how to do it, and we used watercolors because that's something that everybody, if they didn't have it already at home, they could easily run down and get at one of the local stores, including pick your supermarket. And so that was fun. It was just an interesting way to come together, do something different. And so that's what we've been trying to do, is try to just be different, but there's only so many options for being different, and that's what's difficult.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked, and maybe because the students have been on Zoom meetings and virtual meetings all day long for their school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Our youth pastor is awesome, Tony Morgan. He's out up at a retreat right now, and we've been very blessed with great youth ministers. Zach, I know you're watching up in Ojai and just over the years, and friends like you. But one of the things, it's not so much the ministers not trying to have the idea. I mean, we're all trying to be creative. It's just, how do we engage people at that same time? Like Zoom meetings are great, but if someone has even something else going at the same time, they can't really get in that.
Right.
That's where, for me, it's better to do stuff like stuff on Facebook. And I don't really know Instagram as much, but when people can come back and watch it at their own time and stuff like that. Because it is funny, even though we have a little more time now in the evenings, there are still other things that kind of pull us away from those meeting
Yeah,
times.
there are. So, I mean, I'm going old school. So anybody from my youth group watching, tomorrow I'm mailing out postcards to everybody in the youth
What?
group. I
What's that?
know. I'm going to use snail mail just to communicate and say hi. About 2-3 weeks ago, I made yard signs, laminated signs, and got wooden stakes from Home Depot. And they just simply said, hi, miss you, love you, see you soon. And I spent like 5 hours driving around the desert, nailing one in everybody's front yard just to say hi,
Yeah.
And so I think that's really what we're all looking for, are the
Look
little
at Zach.
things.
Zach says he feels all this because he's the youth pastor up there in Virginia. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's the little things, the little touches that people are missing.
Yeah.
It's the going back to what you were saying. It's the high fives and hugs. Like that's what's missing. And so for me, I think that's been the biggest challenge, is just trying to be creative on how to personally touch people.
Yeah. Well, I like that idea. I already wrote the notes last week to the families and stuff like that. I like the yard sign ideas. I think I'm going to do that next week and stuff, and keeping the devotions going. And little texting and things like that. But sometimes I think people get tired of returning text. And I try not to do like a giant group text too. I'll try just to send it to individual ones so there can be a response. But I just think, like most people, text, sometimes people don't like to respond to those things too. We're even doing like this week. I can't go into all the details because I'm doing the unveiling next week, but our VBS is coming up and we're doing some incredible different things this way for VBS that I haven't even shared with the church yet. So anyone from our
Okay.
church, you'll be surprised.
All right.
It's going to have a lot of stuff next week. I'll be unveiling that because the social distancing and things like this are going to go further into the summer, at least out here, than what we thought. So we got to be creative. And
Yeah.
that's for this time, for such a time as this, whatever we want to say, this is a time where we get to be the most creative, but also it's a little bit scary because I take a lot of things personally, like, why doesn't someone want to engage with me? Or why doesn't someone, all I have to do is give me a heart or a thumbs back on the text, or what's wrong? Did I offend you or something like that?
Yeah.
So for me, who's very extroverted, I guess what God's teaching me during this time too is I'm processing with my family as I try to minister to others. And that's sometimes a tough place to be because one thing I do not like about the South, I would take the West anytime, is we went through a tornado last week and the county next to us was very much, we brought food out to about 15 miles away, a lot of
Yeah, I saw that.
But we had to be in our basement and I was uncomfortable. I did a whole thing on being uncomfortable. So one thing I'm just saying is that as we go through these uncomfortable times, whether it's physically like a tornado or an earthquake or whatever, but also just spiritually, there's times during this process when I'm uncomfortable too. And I need, as a pastor, I need encouragement back from some of the congregation too. And luckily there's some guys and gals that have built into my life that I can get that. But I don't know how it is with you. I mean, do we need to, are there times when you just need to have that back at you too, that encouragement?
It is. Yeah. In fact, actually, that was yesterday. My daily devotion was just on encouragement. And why do we encourage? Because it builds each other up. And why do we choose to build each other up? What Paul says in Thessalonians, he says, Christ died for you. Now go encourage each other. Like,
Yeah.
He did the ultimate thing. So just do the little thing, the pat on the back, the saying thank you, little things like that, I think that was my challenge for everybody today, was just figure out how you can go and encourage somebody, boost somebody's morale today.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to remember, I think, as it comes back to the whole body of Christ, because we did have some very close, we had a church member pass away of the coronavirus.
Oh, wow.
It's very, it's very hard to us sometimes as we're dealing with social distancing. So there's things that we're all dealing with at different levels that we need to be sensitive to. But also, I just think, not just because I'm a minister, but I think for the ministers that have never navigated this either, like school teachers or other leaders, even our government, I think this is not a time to bail on those or to, put criticism on those people. This is a time for every Christian to be praying for the leadership around us, because it's hard. Like sometimes I wake up and I don't even know what day it is. Like, is it Wednesday? Like last night, like we send out Bible studies. Is it really Wednesday? People were saying and stuff like that, And we have no, I mean, I don't know how it is with you, but we don't know when this is going to be in. The governor of Georgia made on a couple of days ago saying what we're going to come off of and stuff like that. But then President Trump kind of got on and said, oh, maybe it's a little too early to open bowling alleys and stuff like that. So, I mean, but reality is we don't really know how long these cycles are going to take. But we do know that God is in control of them. That's the hope back to.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we have to fall back to, because if, it's otherwise, I think the thing that so many people are dealing with is the worries and the anxieties and the fear of the unknown. And that's where we just have to fall back and go, yes, there's a lot unknown, but we serve an all-knowing God. And because we serve an all-knowing God, we trust that he has things in control. He's been through worse things than this, and he will still come out of this being glorified. And the challenge is, are we going to glorify him through the process?
Amen.
How are we being refined? And yeah, it's interesting though, because it's just all new. It's different. It's it's hard. I know next week I have a planning meeting for our summer day camp, and which we started last year based off the old Summer Ministries day camp model.
Summer Ministries. I still have my T-shirts.
Do you really?
I do. Yeah. Eternal Vision. I don't know if you were there for Eternal Vision and stuff like that.
I know I missed that one, I think.
What year did you graduate, Fallbrook High? A little reminiscent here.
95.
95. I was 86, so I'm a lot older than you, obviously.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, actually, if you were a summer intern at all when I was in high school.
Oh. Who was there when you were there? Sorry, little side banter going on.
So Chris 4 was the year before me.
Okay, so because Chris was in Summer Ministries when Chris and I were doing it, Heather Avery. So
yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I think I had 1 year of, in fact, my freshman year, I'm trying to think. I don't even remember. It's hard. It's all a blur. I'm old now, so.
Hey, but look at you. I mean, I don't know whoever's watching still and stuff. And your brother said this. It's been a surprising blessing in many ways. I mean, it is a blessing too. But look how God is using people to step up too. I mean, this is what we're called to do. I know that, but I've seen like families in our church be really bold in their faith and stuff like that. So it doesn't matter. The reason I asked when you graduate stuff, because I don't know when you were in high school if you knew you were going to go into ministry. When I graduated, I did not expect to go into. I pursued architecture, so I don't know where people stand right now. But during this time, God has put a place for us to really step up, no matter how old or young. The youth are stepping up. I'm seeing some great things with youth and families stepping up.
Yeah, we actually, my brother asked me this question yesterday. No, I knew the summer going into my freshman year that I wanted to be in ministry, impacting the lives of young people for the rest of my life. That's when I felt like God officially called me and said, you can do this. Now, I had a lot of years to still get some stuff worked out and figured out, but well, let's go ahead. Let's reminisce for a minute. So, I have a lot of memories with you. I remember going to your parents' house and doing movie nights up there and just hanging around. the church. Like I was thinking about it this morning, the old youth house up on the hill. Remember that place?
Yeah.
And then and then the fellowship hall before we tore that down, and they built the big building that's there today. You know, it's not even called it's not even called FFB anymore. I don't even know what it's called anymore.
That's some of those contemporary names,
like Sunlight Bible Church or something like that. I don't know.
Was Jim the youth pastor?
Yeah, Jim. Oh, this is a great story, Ken. So, on one of my blog articles that I wrote, I posted it up on Facebook, you know, just like, hey, whoever out in the world needs to read it, you know? And about 2 days after I posted Life Point, thank you, Jordan.
Life Point, yes.
And Pastor Jim responded, and he said, like, nicely written, well done. And I was like, yes, I still have Pastor Jim's approval.
He's probably watching this right now, and I talked to him on the phone the other day, too.
Did you?
Yeah, because he was instrumental in my life. I think of his life impacting so many people, and George Ria before, you know, he passed away and stuff, too. So,
yeah,
those memories, my sister put good memories, and I mean, I think back to those Fallbrook days. Those are good days.
Yeah, so like you were mentioning, Pastor Jim being so instrumental, and yeah, he really like set the foundation, the groundwork for I think what started in my life. But then for me, it was Mark Brown, Chris's brother, who came in towards the end of my high school career and offered me my first internship job. Or actually, it happened this way when I said, I go, Mark, I want to be the summer intern. And he said, okay, plan Mexico, and if it works, then I'll let you be the intern. So, like, I had never really done anything before at that level. And so
just a little trip to Mexico with a few kids.
Right.
You know?
So it's like I had to hire a speaker, and, you know, I grabbed Tim Howell and Jim Kresge, and I was like, okay, guys, you've been doing this for a long time. Mark's not going to help me. And, you know, actually, I think Mark hadn't been on the trip before. So I think it was more, he pawned it off on me, not that he was actually testing me. And so Jim and I went and bought tons of construction equipment and drove it down to the Bible Institute in Tecate and dropped it all off ahead of time. And, but that was my beginning of really experiencing ministry, of Mark going, all right, well, I'm going to push you in the deep end and let's see if you can swim. And if you can swim, then we'll keep going.
No, I remember it was the same thing with Jim being directly in my life. I was away from the Lord at the time, just coming back to the Lord and stuff like that. And he really challenged me, along with Chris and George, too, just to, you know, if you say you're a Christian, why are you living like the devil, basically? And that one of those trips down to Mexico, Las Playas, building houses, is where God got a hold of my life. And then I went into ministry and stuff like that. It was like 1980 something, 1989 or something like that. But that's what I'm saying right now. I think it was a little uncomfortable for me down in Mexico too, because even though I grew up in San Diego, I'd never been across the border and stuff like that. But God really grew me. And sometimes I related to a time like this when we're going through uncomfortable things, coming back to that again, that maybe God is preparing right now some of the kids in our youth group or our families. Like every kid that I think maybe has an ear for God, I've been really encouraging and saying, you know what, I see you as a minister. I see you, even if it's not a vocational minister, I still see them doing the things of a minister, like encouraging or whatever their gifts would be. Even young kids, even elementary kids, and then as they go into older ages. But I think this is a time for us as ministers to really, you know, I don't think any of us would do this, but not to say, oh, someone else will take care of the congregation or the needs. But this is a time for us to, through encouragement, through stuff like this, but also through a handwritten note, just be speaking life into this next generation, to see God has you here during this time for right now. So they're going to grow up, and they're going to go to their generations after them, and they're going to say, God took me through this. Let's see how he's going to take you through whatever you're going. I just see it such a time for us to impart into these kids. And, you know,
I think you bring up a good point. I know, like, and I've shared this with my students and with other people before, but my biggest fear is um, God having to go to plan B, right? That God said, you know, plan A, Jason, I want you to impact this person's life, and then I chose not to. Or Jason, I want you to do this, and then I chose not to. That's my biggest fear is missing out on God's plan A opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, of getting to heaven one day and having that real honest conversation with God, and then him pulling up the screen and going, hey, I just want, like, good job, but look
Yeah.
at all the opportunities that you missed. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I dread that conversation one day, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's something we all got to be aware of. I know we have to watch how much we do together and stuff like that. So some people feel more comfortable coming in, some people don't. You know, it's everyone's a little bit different dealing with this whole thing. But I just think all of us have some sort of opportunity that we can have God not have to worry about plan B or something like that.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
the same way. Like, um, I just want to, as long as this virus is going on, and even when it gets back to normal, my heart hasn't really changed. I have a passion to share God's word. I'm not changing God's word. I'm just looking for new avenues to get it out to people. And
Right.
it's avenues I don't even like sometimes. Like, seriously, it's not comfortable for me to do stuff like this. But once again, it comes back to it not being comfortable when God grows us the most, you know?
Yeah. It's, no, it's true. There's, I think, a lot of stretching and growing, and the whole grow as you go type of idea of ministry. And yeah, God's got his hands on things, and I'm not worried about it. It's and there's a lot of things to be worried about, and that's not one of them. You know, he's got this, and so we'll write it out and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But hey, tell me if you remember this story. I was in 7th grade, and my mom dropped me off at the church because my leader Ken was going to pick me up and take me to the Del Mar Fair for the day. We were going to have a special just Ken and Jason day. And after an hour of sitting at the church, somebody finally showed up to let me in to call my mom to tell her that Ken never showed up and that you forgot me and forgot that we were going to do that. And it forever just ruined me.
What? My one ministry that I've ever let someone down. Why? Well, I think there was a teaching moment there. Number one, I don't know what I was thinking. Number two is that it probably caused you to depend on the Lord more than this guy right here. So
no,
I'm sorry about that, because that could be traumatic, you know, and I've been the guy being left behind too. So I'm sorry about that. And my sister's crying now, or she's laughing. Really,
she's laughing.
Oh, she's laughing with tears. So
and now your wife is making fun of you.
It was sad because I had put that out of my mind for years and years and years, and now it just flashed back. And so guess what? The fair's closed this year, but when we come out to visit in California, I'm going to call you guys.
Yes.
And I'm going to buy you a funnel cake.
Oh, with strawberries?
With strawberries, okay?
Oh.
He doesn't shut up about. Really, you don't shut up about this? Is so traumatic. I feel so bad.
But here's the cool thing about it, though, is we missed that day, but it's when I got to know you afterwards, though, because you came back. You were so deeply apologetic. We went and had lunch. But we had lunch together, and we probably had better time afterwards because of what happened. And you know, it was, dude, I was such a squirrely, pain in the butt kid, you know, like ADD, bouncing off the walls, dealing with anger and abandonment, all of this stuff from my past. And, you know, it was those moments, though, like with you and with Chris and hanging out with the Duffys and all of the volunteers that we had at the church, you know, Pastor George and Jim and all of those things, though, that just said, we see beyond who you who we perceive you to be today, because we can see that God's got his hand on you. And so no, it definitely helped push me in this direction in the right way.
And I would never on purpose abandon you.
I know.
So but I will say this, I mean, that I'm thankful for those times, you know, that we had then, but also over the years. It's not that we got together every weekend, but even the last time at Forest Home, when your family got to come out there for a while and stuff, just being able to reconnect. And this is the great thing, I think, from being in ministry for a long time is, I can't remember if you were squirrely or not. You probably were, okay? But I do remember you were excited and you were driven and you had something to say. I mean, that was some, and I'm so glad that God put that in the ministry for you. That's the thing. I think kids with any type of ADHD or anything like that, I don't know what it is, but it could be a great platform for Christ. And I can't remember all that was going on here. I do remember some things, and those are, I'm glad you're through those. I'm glad we're all through those times. Just know that God is using you. I mean, this is just a little shout out to you from it. I mean, to see what God is doing in you and your family's life, and it probably hasn't all been a bed of roses. I mean, there's ups and downs in ministries, but you've been faithful, and that's what I would pray for you and for others that are in ministry right now. Just keep faithful and watch how God's going to grow you. Even when the youth minister or the intern forgets you, or the youth leader forgets that, you know, or I can kind of picture you stepping, probably it was neon, you're wearing neon clothes or something.
Probably, yeah, some old school gotcha shirt, yeah.
Yeah, and those steps going right up there. And then, so forgive me in front of the 4 people that are watching us. Please.
Right. My brother, your sister, and your wife.
I know.
My wife's not even watching. She's busy.
Once these things are live, like, people can't go back and find it on Instagram, kind of. It just like goes into cyber world. Or can they?
No, when this is over, I will save it and post it to my story, and I think I can actually download it, and I'll throw it over on Facebook for people to watch too.
Yeah, help me out. Tag me on anything, because
I will. Yeah. So the hard part with Facebook is you can't do this dual conversation thing.
Yeah.
You know, the only other way that we could have done it would be to like record a Zoom conversation or record a FaceTime conversation and then just post it. But I wanted an opportunity for people to chime in and jump on if they wanted to. Because
like your brother right there with that comment. I don't want.
Yeah, don't be too nice to me. But no, look,
this is good. I like it.
We've all had rough moments in life, and God gave me my past for a reason. He gave me a story so that I could have a testimony, so that I could share his story. I mean, it's as simple as that. That my story is a story of God's love and God's patience and God's redemption, and it doesn't matter. And I think that's the hard part that I wish everybody understood. That it doesn't matter like how horrible your life has been. You know, like, especially people who grow up in the church, you know, they're like, well, I don't have this cool testimony. And it's like, yes, you do. Because you just because you grew up in the church doesn't mean that you weren't lost at one point, and that God hasn't done an amazing work in your life. Like, what is God's story through you? We all have God's story, and we all have a responsibility to share that and make it available to other people.
And sometimes God protecting us or keeping us from something is just as powerful, as important a story as if we went through something. You know, there's that element that have been taking care of us. So someone's officially here.
That's Killer B. She's in my youth group. Yeah.
Right.
Her name is Brianna, but she was on my T-ball team like 7 years ago. And I nicknamed her Killer B, not because she was good, but I was trying to get her to believe that she could hit the ball hard. And so I gave her the nickname Killer B. And she's around in the youth group, and she still likes me. But she never became that Killer B softball player, which makes me a little sad, B, but that's all right.
So tell me, you told me a sad memory of ministry about me. What's something when you were a kid, uh, junior high or high school? I don't know, even sometime in that age. What is something positive you remember? This could be for the youth leaders watching still, or just for us as ministers. What was that positive thing? Why did you even like ministry at that time? Or was that just a time to be away? Because I went up and down. Like I went to some great churches, but I became a Christian in sixth grade at Forest Home, and then junior high and high school over at Fallbrook High. Went to a great church. It wasn't First Baptist at the time, but I kind of drifted away. It wasn't until I came back to church at First Baptist I really got challenged. But I think there were some good memories along the way. Do you have a good memory of
Oh,
for a kid in ministry?
it it it
I don't
would
know how
be
long we've been talking either.
no. We've got about 10 minutes left. It's we. I couldn't narrow it down to one memory. I would I would I I tell everybody this that my time in youth group was the they were the most amazing years of my life because we weren't just friends at church, we were also all friends at school, and it carried over so much. But I mean, like if I had to pick one thing, it would just simply be the summer ministries program because it was an opportunity where adults, if you want to, now that I look back at when I was 19, if you want to qualify us as adults when we were summer interns, but we might have been adults, but not fully responsible adults. And, but it was a time though when, uh, as high school students, we were empowered to do something amazing. And I'm still friends today, like on Facebook, with some of my campers that I had when I was in high school. And so it's just really cool to know that there was a church who said high school students can be more than people expect them to be. That they can make a difference in kids' lives. I mean, still today, I don't know of very many churches that allow the high school ministry to run their VBS program. Uh, but that's what First Baptist did. Now they had adult volunteers, but they were there in support roles. They weren't there in leadership roles.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
was
you
put,
guys were leading. Yeah.
yeah, it was put on us to do everything. I mean, we were writing the scripts, we were sharing the Bible stories, we were running the games and the arts and crafts, and there's not a lot of churches that do that. In fact, it's been that was what I started here officially last year. So we call it Stay Camp. It's kind of a combination between day camp and VBS, and it's ran by our middle school and high school kids. And we have a few adults that are there in support roles, but to say that you guys can do this. You're not the leaders of tomorrow. You are the leaders of today, but you have to know that you are that. I think some of my like just fun memories are being up at Bass Lake. I remember beach week was always a fun week. I'll never forget my grandpa in board shorts at Wild Rivers with us. I don't know if you remember that.
Your grandpa, but your grandpa was the stud. He's awesome. I can't wait to see him again.
Oh, I know. Me too.
Yeah, good man. Those are good memories. I mean, I think of that's something that we want to engage in more here too. We're going through a lot of neat things, but we want to empower the students. That Kara Powell wrote that book, Growing Young. The I keep saying latchkey, but the keychain leadership, where you give the kids the power to be leaders, like you pass over the keys to them. And
oh wow, okay.
So it's a great book. I mean, all her stuff's great, but I just think that it's a time for us as leaders to what you just said a minute ago. That it's not the next generation. It's not the church of tomorrow. These kids are the church of today, and we got to figure out how to keep empowering them to do stuff. So,
yeah, your sister's talking about the Mexico trips,
yeah,
and it's so true. We for the last 5 years have been connected with a church in Ensenada, We originally went down through Azusa Pacific, and but they've canceled their outreach program, at least to outside groups. And I mean, not just like right now, but like officially last year, they dissolved Mexico outreach for like church groups to be a part of. But we've continued this relationship there, and we love going. In fact, it's probably the thing that everybody's most bummed out about, because there's no way we're going to be able to go this year. Even if the states are in control, it's not going to be safe to go down into Mexico, to a country that's not testing and doesn't have all of the available medical resources that we do. But we love going. Every year, at least one of our kids chooses to get baptized at the beach down there. You know, and we say this every year, that we go down to serve, and when we come home, we realize the person who got served the most was us.
Yeah. Those times for me too. I mean, we, over the years when we were in San Diego, and we've taken, I mean, literally thousands of kids down to junior high. We would go to Ensenada or to Mexico, down junior hires and some high schoolers, building houses and doing VBS. But for me, that's where God got a hold of my heart. And I see these kids' hearts, they just change. And some of these kids, you would never think they'd be in ministry. And some of them are in ministry now. Maybe that's like you. I mean, definitely how like I was, like God gets a hold of your heart. But we got to keep looking for ways to impact those kids. I know we must be running out of time. I don't know how we stop one of these things. But
it'll give me like a warning to say you've got, I don't know, 60 seconds left or something like that. But yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's definitely, I think this was one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you, have a conversation, just catch up and do it publicly.
Feels like we're right there. Like I want to hug your head, but I can't.
know. Look, I'm touching you.
I know.
But those years not only were physically formative, but they were spiritually formative for me. And I think today adults don't give young people the credit that they deserve.
Hey, Dickerson, we're almost done, but I'm glad you're on here for a few minutes. She's from college.
Oh, hi.
Heritage College,
Hi, Kathy.
San Diego
How are
Christian.
you? You know that again, yeah, we don't expect much from them, and you know, I don't know. I mean, we have 2 minutes remaining. We can go back to the whole, you know, psyche of it, of postponed late adolescence and all of that, and I don't know, the millennial movement, whatever you want to blame it on. But I think it really comes down to a fault of adult leadership not saying to young people, you can do it.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to champion that. So.
Well, Ken, we have basically 1 minute remaining. So what is the last piece of advice that you want to say? Or what's the last thing you want to say?
God's got this. It's been awesome to be with you for an hour here. Jason, we need to do it again. We need to pull in, I don't know if you can do more. We need to pull in some other people if we can do more. But this was just a good afternoon. So thanks for organizing this.
Yeah, my pleasure. So please call me the next time you are in California. I don't reckon there's a southern word for you that I will be in Georgia, but if I'm ever fixing to get that way, I will do my best to.
That'd be totally rad, dude. Totally rad. Hey, tag me in all these things so I can be knowing what to do. So
I will. All right, Ken, I love you. Thank you so much for everything.
All right, bye.
See you, bud.